Back-to-back Hoyo controversies. First, we had the whole situation with Movika and the Lantern Raid against Impact, but now Hoyo versus other IP Honkai Star Rail has got its own controversy coming up, and that is with the new 3.0 update and the release of 8 banners coming in one singular patch. And there's been a lot of controversy and a lot of discourse going on about this, and I wanted to give my take on the situation and where I'm at. Giving context here, I've played Honkai Star Rail since day one. I would be what you would consider a light spender. I've spent a little bit on the game, not a ton. I've done, some monthly passes. I've done a couple battle passes along the way, but I've pretty much played it daily since then, at least to do my dailies. I've, missed some of the events, but, overall, I'm a fan of the game and the trajectory of it. And so that's kind of the position I'm having a conversation here from. Now, I've seen a lot of people talking about this, about how really the way that EO is framing it here. He's working on a vid right now, but this is absolutely amazing for players that are smartly invested into their accounts or spend money on Honkai Star Rail. This is ass for everyone else, and I mean that. I think making the claim that this is ass for everyone else is kind of absurd. If I'm being honest, I don't understand how getting a bunch of different reruns for characters that you may have missed previously that you don't have to pull for is asked for everyone else. Now, I'm making some assumptions here. Mr. Pokey has this tweet from a comment on his page, and I feel like this is generally the structure of how some people are upset with these new banners and they're coming forward. So again, for context, the first half is going to be the Herda plus Fei Xiao, Jade, and Lingsha, and the second half is Aglia with Robin, Boothill, and Silverwolf. Coming over to the comment, this is a terrible move because of a few reasons. New players will get hit with instant FOMO. Okay, that on its own already feels like a bit of a moot point to me because look, there is always going to be FOMO. It's a gacha game. Even if there wasn't all the other rerun banners and you were coming in as a new player and there's 2 new characters coming that patch and a new region, yeah, you're going to have FOMO and you're going to be rushing through content to get the currency you can to pull on those characters. So that's nothing new. 2, light cones also exist, so it's double the FOMO. I have always been a personal believer that I think having a variety of characters is much better than having the signature light cone for characters. So personally, with how I'm viewing this, I don't even think you need the signature light cones. I think you can get away with standard light cones, which you can farm up on your own eventually, or you'll probably get at some point on the standard banner or missing a 50-50. You're going to get some standard light cones, or you can just use a lot of the 4-star light cones. Once you get a couple duplicates of the 4-star light cones, they can perform super well. The only time you're going to want the signature light cones is if you're one of those people who wants to do a 1-turn clear on the endgame content. But let's be real, if you're one of those people and you want to sweat that hard at a gacha game, you're probably still spending money anyway. So then you're kind of out of that conversation. So then they come to point 3, 16 banners for, 4 characters, 4 light cones. 16, let that sink in, 16. And we are only still getting the same amount of Jades. Basically, not even a full guarantee in a 16 banner patch. Again, it's a little bit disingenuous because 6 of the banners are reruns. And let's be real, if you're trying to pull Silverwolf at this point, there's no point. So I'd give you 7, at most. So 14 total, really. But again, I don't even think you need light cones, so really 7. With the amount of type ignoring that's built into a lot of characters' kits at this point, honestly, Silverwolf, kind of just completely fallen off. I can't think of a character that's been power crept harder than Silverwolf when her whole utility was applying weakness, and then every character was like, we don't care about weakness anyway. But again, ignoring Silverwolf, 5 of the characters are reruns. So if you're somebody who's been playing all this time anyway, the probability that you have at least a couple of these characters is fairly high. For example, I've got Fei Xiao and I've got Robin. I mean, I have Silverwolf, but, Silverwolf was found dead in a ditch. So that would just leave Lingsha, Jade, and Boothill in terms of rerunning characters that I would want. Other than that, it's basically a normal patch. We've got a new character in the first half and a new character in the second half. It's basically the same thing. Same as any other patch. So if you're somebody who's been playing for a little while now, you're probably going to be able to get at least one of the new characters, which is normal than any other patch, so nothing to complain about there. If you're a new player coming into the game, well then you've got such a backlog of content that I'm not sure of the full calculations here, but the probability that you could get the 2 new characters and at least one of the other raid up characters, I think is pretty high. And I think it's kind of absurd to expect that a new player coming in for the first time to be able to just get, most of the signature characters that were released over the past year. on their first time coming into the game, and to feel that FOMO, like, it's kind of like ridiculous. I see it more so as an opportunity of like, hey, was there a character that you missed kind of going through the first time? Here's an opportunity to pull on that character's banner if you want to do that instead. But even all of that taken into account, it doesn't really matter, because I guarantee you the meta is probably going to shift again. It's always been continuously shift. We've been in the Super Break meta for a while now. Follow-up is also still pretty strong with characters like, Fei Xiao and Jade. But Super Break is still taking the cake. But with the release of Sunday and Aglia, I think we're definitely going to see that the kind of summon meta is going to come into place too, going into 3.0. So a lot of these characters probably don't even have the same degree of relevance that they did previously. Again, still as it stands right now, a lot of these are really strong characters and that you can choose from. But if we're talking about being concerned about overall currency that you have on your account, it's really not that big of a deal. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to go out here and say this is a gift from Hoyoverse, getting all of these characters that have been added in here, but I'm also not going to say it's like a total ass negative thing that has been, that's plaguing players now. It's an opportunity for experienced players to roll in a character they might have missed previously, or for new players to come in if they do want to spend something to get a new character that they want, or to farm through all of the previous content and probably still get one of those other characters, or for anyone else who's got the characters they want or don't even care about some of these characters, they can pull on the new characters that have come through with either the Herda or Aglia. It's basically the whole situation. At the end of the day, guys, you're playing a gacha game. Like, I'm never going to discourage somebody from vocalizing their frustration with a game or how it's choosing to monetize. I mean, I talked about earlier with Genshin that people griping about having, 2 rate up limited characters in the first half of the new patch is a problem. And I still think it is. But also, it's a gacha game where the core mechanic of the game is a slot machine for progression. So I'm also not going to sit here and be like, guys, you know what you're getting yourself into. Like, you're getting into a game that's probably got one of the worst monetization models in the gaming market today, probably only to be beaten out by like AAA titles and companies like, I don't know, FIFA. The FIFA loot box system, the card system, from what I understand, is absolutely ridiculous. And so I'm not going to, justify that. So maybe it's worse, but that's also basically another gambling mechanic at that point. Gacha games are not charities, so don't expect them to be overly generous. But at the end of the day, my judgment on this patch for the rerunning of these character banners is it's basically neutral. And I think anybody who's crying FOMO and that you don't have enough rewards to get all of the characters, I think it's silly to expect to come into a game for the first time and to get all of these characters, or for them to expect to get all of the free rewards to get all of the characters for the first time, guys. It's a gacha game. Like, I don't know what else, honestly, there is to say about that at the end of the day. Like, it is what it is, guys. Okay, that's gonna be it for this one. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.